It's 3 in the morning. You fell asleep fine. 2 hours later, you're awake, and your whole body's humming. Not pain, a buzz, like your nervous system got plugged into a wall socket. You're exhausted and wired at the exact same time. If you just stop smoking weed, this isn't random. It's one of the most predictable things the human brain does. Every part of it has a name, a mechanism, and a timeline. And here's the strange part, the part we're going to prove by the end. Understanding exactly what's happening to you right now isn't just information. It's measurably part of the treatment. This is the map. So start with what was already inside you. Your brain makes its own cannabinoids. They act on a receptor called CB1, the most common receptor of its kind in your whole brain. Its job is to be a brake. It sits on the nerve and quietly turns the signal down, so nothing ever fires too hard. Now flood that system with THC. Every day. Your brain's smart. It notices the outside pressure, and it defends itself the only way it can. It pulls its own brakes off the road. And this is measurable. In a 2012 brain imaging study of daily smokers, the cortex lost around 15 to 20% of its CB1 receptors. The more years of use, the bigger the loss. You didn't lose willpower. You changed your hardware. And here's the first piece of good news on real data. In that same study, after about 4 weeks without THC, the receptors came back, nearly all the way to normal. The hardware resets. So you quit. The THC is gone, but the brakes are still offline because they take weeks to grow back. So for a window of time, you're running a nervous system with the accelerator intact and the brakes removed. That's the buzz. Your stress and alertness circuits, the ones CB1 was holding down, are suddenly let loose, with nothing restraining them. The clinical name for the feeling is sympathetic arousal. The honest name is wired but tired. Now, a promise I made. We flag what's proven and what's not. That your restlessness, tremor, sweating, and anxiety are real withdrawal symptoms. That's proven, and it's in the official diagnostic manual. The exact chain from receptor loss to that adrenaline-soaked feeling, that's strong in animal studies, reasonably inferred in humans. And that full-body buzzing, the low hum you can almost hear, that exact sensation isn't its own cataloged symptom. What the science backs is this. An over-aroused nervous system makes a fine internal tremor, and it amplifies faint signals you'd normally never notice. That's the best explanation we've got. So that's exactly what we'll tell you. No more, no less. Now, the part that wrecks your nights. To get it, you need one fact about weed and sleep. THC is a lid on REM, the dreaming stage. Smoke daily, and you barely dream. Most heavy users will tell you they stopped dreaming years ago. That's not a coincidence. But REM doesn't disappear. It builds up behind that lid, like a debt. Take the THC away, and the lid comes off, all at once. Your brain repays the entire REM debt in a rush. It's called REM rebound, and it's the engine behind everything you're feeling at night. Watch what that does to a single night. This is a hypnogram, a map of your sleep stages. On THC, the trace is flat and quiet. Deep sleep, almost no REM. Looks solid. In withdrawal, everything changes except the start. You fall asleep fine, because the thing that gets you to sleep is untouched. But your night's built from 90-minute cycles, and each one ends in REM. Rebound makes those REM periods come earlier and run longer, so you surface roughly every 2 hours, right at the lightest, most wakeable point of the cycle. And every cycle makes its own dream. That's why it's a brand new vivid dream every single time you wake up. And because REM stacks toward the back of the night, after 3 a.m. it gets worse. More dreams, more waking, harder to fall back. You wake up wired because you're surfacing straight out of an electrically active dreaming brain into a nervous system that's already in overdrive. 3 in the morning, heart going, fully alert. That's not a malfunction. That's the machine running exactly as designed. And this is why sleep is the last thing to come back. Most withdrawal symptoms fade in 2 to 3 weeks, but the dream stuff actually peaks later, around day 10, and full sleep repair can take 4 to 6 weeks. Sleep leaves first, and comes back last, which sets up the single most important trap. In studies, 65% of people who relapsed said sleep is what drove them back, and here's the mechanism that matters. Going back doesn't end this. It resuppresses the REM you were rebuilding, and it resets the debt. Grab the pen tonight, and you didn't skip this week. You rescheduled it for later at full price. So let's put the whole thing on one map. And this isn't vague. Cannabis withdrawal is a formal diagnosis, added to the manual in 2013. It hits close to half of regular users, and the majority of heavy daily ones. You're not weak. The shape's always the same. Onset in the first 1 to 3 days, a peak between days 2 and 6, then a long, uneven decline, with sleep as the final thread, trailing weeks behind. And if you stopped about a week ago, this is where you're standing, on the far shoulder of the peak. Which sounds bad till you flip it. The day it feels the absolute worst is the day right before your body starts winning. You're not at the beginning of this, you're at the top of the hill. There's one more symptom, and it's the most dangerous, because it doesn't feel like a symptom. It feels like the truth. Somewhere in here, everything goes dull. Food's boring, jokes don't land, motivation flatlines, nothing feels good. And the story your mind tells you is simple and convincing. This is just what sober life is, this flat gray thing. This is reality without the weed. That story is a lie the chemistry's telling you. Chronic THC blunts your dopamine, your reward chemistry. Low mood is literally a listed withdrawal symptom. And the flatness, the loss of pleasure, that's your reward system temporarily turned down. And it recovers on roughly the same 4-week arc as everything else. So think about what that means. If you've only ever quit for a few days at a time, then every time you tasted sober life, you tasted it from inside the withdrawal window. At the exact bottom of your reward chemistry, you've been rating the whole destination from the worst mile of the road. You might have never actually seen your real baseline. This run is the first time you get clean data. Don't let the chemistry file its verdict from the bottom of the curve. So what actually helps? And here we've got to be honest. In a way, most of the internet isn't. There's no magic pill for this. The direct drug research is thin. What works is taking the best tools in all of sleep medicine and bringing them to a nervous system that happens to be in rebound. Here's what the evidence actually backs. Strongest first. Caffeine, your biggest lever, and you don't even have to quit it. Its half-life is 5 to 6 hours. So a 2 p.m. coffee is still a quarter strength at midnight, poured into a system with no breaks. Don't quit it cold. That just stacks a second withdrawal. Just move it early. A hard cutoff around noon. Alcohol, the cleanest thing to drop. It's also a REM suppressant, so using a drink to fall asleep resuppresses the exact rebound you're trying to finish, and it shreds the back half of your night. It doesn't shorten this. It pauses it and restarts it. Light and temperature. Morning light, outdoors early. It's the strongest signal your body clock has. And a warm shower about 90 minutes before bed into a cool room, because the sleep trigger is your core temperature dropping afterward, not the heat itself. And the wake-up rule. When you're up at 3 a.m. and wired, don't lie there fighting it. If you've been awake around 20 minutes, get up, stay dim, stay boring, no screens, no clock watching, and go back when you're sleepy. You're protecting the one thing that still works, the link between your bed and sleep. And 2 honest corrections, because we follow the evidence even when it's annoying. Hard exercise is amazing for your life, but in the one head-to-head trial, it didn't beat simple stretching for withdrawal specifically. And the barefoot on grass grounding thing in blue light glasses? Mostly hype. The morning walk helps you. The grass isn't the reason. We'd rather tell you that than sell you a wristband. Now, the promise from the start. Why understanding this isn't just useful, why it's treatment. There's a huge body of research in pain science showing something almost unbelievable. When you teach a patient the mechanism of their pain, the pain itself measurably drops. Nothing physical changed, only the understanding. The reasons and how the brain handles the unknown. In one wild study, human stress didn't peak when people knew a shock was coming. It peaked when the odds were 50-50. Maximum uncertainty, not maximum harm, is the top of the stress curve. Your brain fears the unknown more than the bad. So picture yourself at 3 in the morning, before any of this, body buzzing, no idea what it is, whether it's dangerous or when it ends. To your brain, that uncertainty is the peak of the stress response. And that stress isn't just how you feel about the buzzing, it's arousal, pouring into the exact system that's generating the buzzing. Then you learn the name. Cannabis withdrawal. Common, expected. Day 6. Temporary. And something quiet happens. Naming a state calms the alarm that made it. Seeing the sensation as safe breaks the loop that amplified it. The uncertainty collapses, and the stress it was feeding drains out with it. The buzzing's still there, but it stops screaming, because you finally have the map. And this is the whole idea, and it's bigger than one bad week. Understand the game, and you can endure the level. Understand the mechanism, and you take its power back. The map doesn't just describe the territory. The map is the medicine.